So I'm going to go back to my chart and flesh it out. But I want you guys to write it with me. Okay? I'm going to change colors because I'm getting bored with black. What's our next one here? We've done 0 half steps through 4. What's the next one? 5. What do we call 5 half steps? Perfect fourth. Y'all slow me down if it doesn't make sense. And that inverts to, now remember, perfects don't change quality. So we know it's going to be a perfect something. Perfect fifth is the right answer. How many half steps here is a 5? A fifth is 7 half steps. Yeah? Making sense? And we keep going. 6 is our wonderful tritone. Now this is going to be fun. Usually I'd go skip the tritone and come back, but I think you guys are catching some of this. The tritone inverts itself. It's the only interval that does that. Because if you take a tritone and you flip it upside down, it's still 6 half steps. 6 half steps either way you look at it. The tritone inverts itself. The tritone inverts to a tritone. Is this? Yeah, I'll just leave it. Okay, so from a C, what's a tritone above C? Boy, when y'all talk all that, you got to take turns. No. I feel the love, but y'all are totally wrong. Let's get there. 6 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A tritone is also called a diminished fifth, so I could go C, D, E, F, G is the 5th scale degree and go down 1. It's also the augmented fourth, so I can go C, D, E, F, which is the 4th scale degree, and go up 1. Either way, 6 half steps, C to F sharp. If I invert it, what do I do? Somebody tell me what to do to invert it. Take the C and put it on top. Now the F sharp's on the bottom. Now we're trying to call this interval what? Well, let's see how many half steps there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do you call 6 half steps? Everybody at once? Yeah, so a tritone, excuse me, will always invert to another tritone because it's 6 half steps both ways. Okay? Which is another reason why we started off with perfect intervals and then major diatonic ones, and then we went to minor and then left this tritone last because it's the special case. Yeah? Tritones invert themselves. Let's go back to our chart. 7 half steps is called what? Wow. I know it's late. We're on the end run here. Perfect fifth, which inverts to, on the quality-wise, it stays perfect because of that rule that we learned. But now it becomes a perfect fourth. How many half steps in a perfect fourth? 5. 5 plus 7 is 12. Fourth plus fifth equals 9. Rule of 9, rule of 12, quality. We're almost done. Now we're going to 8 half steps. Now we'll look up here. Yep, look at that. 8 half steps in minor 6. And that inverts to 4 half steps. The minor becomes a major, and the 6th becomes a third. So it's easy. It's accurate to say if you invert a minor 6th, it becomes a major third. If you invert a major 2nd, it becomes a minor 7th, and so forth. 9 half steps is a major 6th, and I think you guys have got the concept enough that you could probably flesh it out, but for the sake of consistency with my horrendous handwriting, I'm still going to finish out this little chart here. Minor 7th, and you guys should follow along to make sure I don't get it wrong. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of perfect handwriting. Major 2nd. And filling out charts wrong. 11 half steps is a major 7th, one of my faves. Minor 2nd inverts 1 half step. 11 plus 1 is 12. 7 plus 2 is 9. The qualities exchange, major, minor. Yeah? So now you can see at the bottom of this invert interval page where I've got some notes, and then I said shortcuts for interval inversions. Let's make sure I didn't leave something out. The rule of 9 says that the scale degree number will always add up to 9 when you invert. 2 to a 2nd becomes a 7th because 2 plus 7 is 9. The 3rd becomes 6th because 3 plus 6 is 9. Major intervals become minor and vice versa. Perfect remain perfect. Now, augmented becomes diminished, diminished becomes augmented. That really only applies at this point in a tritone, right? Because if I went from C to F sharp and F sharp up to C, you're gonna take the augmented fourth and make it a diminished fifth and write the diminished fifth into an augmented fourth. Okay? Tritone always remains a tritone. That's the most important part. So take a look at this next page, and we're on the home stretch, folks. Table of intervals used in Western music. I want you to fill this out. I'd like for you to fill it out more than once. Okay? So you could take this similar chart, and in this column that says scale degree at the bottom, the final row, C would be 1, right? The third row above that is D. D would be 2. But you wouldn't put anything in the second row because C sharp and D flat are not really a scale degree. They're not part of the major scale. So you'd only have in the first column C, D, E, F, G, A, and B filled in. The rest are blank. Diatonic interval would have the same rows filled in, but you'd call it a root or a tonic. You'd call it a major second. You'd call it a perfect fifth. You'd call it a perfect fourth. Next, third column over, non-diatonic interval. You'll write what that interval is. Minor second, minor sixth, or tritone for the non-diatonics, right? So to make sure we're on the same page, on diatonic intervals, you're going to have 7 of those rows filled out. On non-diatonic intervals, you're going to have 5 of those rows filled out, corresponding to the white. The 7 white keys and the 5 black keys. But on the next 2 row columns, total number of half steps and interval inversion, you will fill out every one of those. Okay? So on the bottom row C, total number of half steps should be 0. From C to D flat is 1, and so forth all the way up. And now here's the fun part. Now you write in the inversion. So a root becomes an octave. On the second row, the minor second that you wrote in on one column now becomes a major seventh. Write in their inversions on the right column.
Repeat what we did on the non-diatonic?
Absolutely. I'll just run through the first 3 columns one more time. Column number 1, you write the scale degree, which means you're only writing the 5 in the majors, the 7 notes in the major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. So you have 5 rows blank on that column. Diatonic interval, same thing, but now you're giving it the name. And the scale degree, you're giving it a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Diatonic interval, you're giving it a name. Root, major second, perfect fourth, and so forth. Non-diatonic interval, you're giving the other 5 notes their name. Minor second, minor sixth, tritone, etc. Okay? Thus, we've now figured out how to call every interval that's on the keyboard short of an octave or shorter. Later we'll figure out that there's actually intervals larger than an octave, but we don't want to worry about that now. That actually comes way down the road. You can make a lot of music without ever knowing that there's larger intervals. Now we know how to name them. We know how to describe them several different ways. Our names are related to how many half steps they are. Now we can invert them, and we know some issues and tools on how to quickly invert them. Now I said at the very beginning when we started the invert intervals, at some point you're going to want to know why. Why are we inverting these intervals? What is this? Is this just a mathematical, theoretical exercise? I hope I've shown you so far in the class that I want to spare people worthless, pointless, logical, theoretical, mathematical exercises. But this one is really important. And you're going to see in the next module when we start building chords with all these intervals. Okay? If you got any questions, ask them on the community. And check out the homework. I made it simple, but it looks simple on the homework, module 3 and 4, but it's going to take a lot. Daily, fill out the scale practice sheet, interval table practice sheet, while applying the interval table to all 12 notes, not just the ones based from C. Number 2, work on ear training daily, all major scales on both boards. Ear training, la 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 la, every scale, both boards if you can, with your mouth and your ear. And the last one, practice creating all the intervals from all 12 notes on both boards, if you have access to both, while singing the intervals at the same time to build your ear. Yeah? Perfect fourth, minor second. That's from Jaws. Do-do, do-do, do, 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 minor second, ah! And then you put a tritone into the lady screen, right? Go check out the website on the intervals. It'll help you. Do this as much as you can. Repetition will really help. I would also say that you don't really get a lot of valuable things without discipline and work. It's going to take some discipline and work. The end result, more options when making music. More colors for your canvas and your palette. And when God says, I want you to play healing, you got several options on how to play when he speaks that to you. It'll be worth it, trust me.